job. What do you think?
I like turtle. 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 I like turtle.
Oh, that's so f***ing cool. And that's how we completely destroy a power board on a Leader 120. Nice. Okay, guys. Welcome to the Quadcopter review. It's your host, Peppy Prawns here. And as you saw from the intro, today we're going to do a review on what has been a very popular product released. It is the Caddx Turtle, and that's the official name now, is Caddx Turtle. It's been through many iterations of what it's called, but they have now stuck with the Caddx Turtle. Once again, guys, we can thank the Humming store on Amazon for providing us this product to review. Now, what we have here is a combined FPV camera and an HD camera to record your videos while also using the same camera to fly with. So this is going to reduce weight on your quad, and it's going to do a lot of things to help you out. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a look at what we get in the box, because I'll get more into the specifications of the camera when we go down the line. But the first things we're going to get is we're going to get that little dongle, and probably a lot of you have seen this dongle and used it before. Basically, it hooks up to the back of the camera, so you can go ahead and set settings through your goggles or through a station that you might have. We'll also get the mount for mounting the camera if you're not going to mount it in the side plates. We get the camera itself, which is attached to the board, and as you can see, it uses a different style wiring system than some other cameras do, but it does have this odd setup for the holes that you'll see. But that's not odd, because the far out hole is actually so you can mount it on a 30x30 using those angled pins, or those angled holes, I mean, on the board itself, and the three others are used for mounting it on the 20x20. It is a bit awkward, but once you do it, it's not quite as bad as you think. You just need to use a smaller mount on that further out hole, and then the regular mounts that come with it. You also get a small card here, and it pretty much leads you to a site to update the firmware, but right now that site is 404, so you're not going to get any firmware update from there. Mine came with the latest firmware, so I didn't need to really concern myself with that, but I do have concerns for those who do get an older model at 1.0 firmware, that they're not going to be able to update their firmware. So in our little bag of goodies, you're going to get an Allen wrench, which is just a 1.5, so you might already have that, as I do. You're also going to get a little wire, a 2-wire, that's going to go into the board itself and connect to the dongle. You're going to get 2 plates, and these 2 plates might be odd to you, but these 2 plates are mounted to 30-30, and you can also break the ends off and make a vertical stack out of it if you're going to use it in a wing, or if you have enough room in your 5-inch quad to actually put that in a vertical way. You cannot actually put it on your stack. You can mount it vertically and run the wire. So that's what that's plate for. There's been a lot of don't know what that's for, but that's what that plate is for. You don't use that on your 2020 stack unless you want to, but it's going to take up way more room. This already takes up a bunch of room. So here's our wire that's going to go from our board down to our flight controller, and also have the little pigtail to use for our dongle. Now, as I mentioned, this stack is a pretty high stack. The delay of I've had this camera for a while, but I didn't have a frame to put it in, so I had to go out and get a frame for it. Now, we're going to have a little bag here that's going to have your mounting bolts, and it's going to have these really weird things that look like washers, but they're actually threaded. Now, a lot of people that originally got this package didn't actually know how they were going to use anything to offset it from their other plates, and now they've provided these little threaded washer looking guys. They're kind of hard to get down there, but see, you can't use regular standoffs, because the ones that are hexagon, they're going to hit little pieces and parts that are all over the board, so you can't actually use something like that to screw it in. So you can either use some rubber washers, which I've used, and you'll see down the road here I actually did some 3D prints to also create a cover for my SD card so it doesn't go flying out, which you'll see right here. This is available, and I'll add it into the links. Another fella made this. I can't claim any credit for it. I did have to chop a little bit of the stand off to make it work in mind, but it does create a soft mount, and it also creates, as you can see there, that card actually goes the other way. Flip the board over, and then put that mount on, and that will completely keep your card inside, and it bends down so you can eject your card out. It's a really, really great part, and a really, really great job by the fellow that made that. But that'll be in the links below. So I've added that and a few other things, and the frame I bought is actually a frame that is a two-hole setup, so you can actually have your flight controller and ESC in the front, and I have my VTX and my RX in the back. Now, taking a look at this in perspective, as you can see with the Foxeer Monster, it's basically a micro-sized camera. It's very small, and meant obviously for 3-inch, probably down to, you probably squeeze that into down to a 1.5-inch. I'm using a 3-inch UAV POB 150 for my build. As you can see here, very interesting frame, also set up with, like I said, the front and back 20mm hole mounting, so I can split my stack in half, which is going to be very convenient for this or the Runcam Split. You're going to be able to have a lot more room in this, and you know, we've seen this kind of frame set up before. This isn't anything new to the world, but I did find this frame and I was willing to give it a shot. So I'm going to mount mine in the front. Right here I'm illustrating that I might mount it in the back, but in the end I decided to have all my receiving and antenna work in the back and mount it right there above the flight controller when all was said and done. And I'll give you a peek at the end of this build once we get there, but this video isn't really about the build. This is about the Caddx turtle, and there will be a build video down the road here on this UAV POB 150. So now let's take a look at the settings. Once we get our dongle plugged in, the build is done, we have our battery on, we're taking a look at these settings. So as you can see, we have exposure, metering mode, FOV, screen flip, light frequency. So let's go up and take a look at things in an individual way. You'll see this kind of get into a little bit of a weirdness because I had my channel wrong. So as you can see, field of view, we can change that from medium, narrow, and high, and hopefully you can see with what I've got going on in the background the difference. Flip camera, if you accidentally installed it upside down, don't panic and take it apart. You can just flip it right here in the LSD. The metering mode is obviously how many areas is it going to meter for its lighting and stuff. So you can do it in multis, single, and center. So if we go into the camera settings, you'll be able to change your exposures. Now when we get to the camera footage, we'll talk a lot more about exposure in these settings. And here you see my VTX falling off. I was just on the wrong channel. You'll see me change it in just a second. But you can go in there and you can change things like the exposure and so on. So once we go into these camera settings here, we can take a look at saturation, sharp. Now I ended up at 3 on saturation, 2 on contrast, 0 on sharpness, and 5 on brightness. Now the reason being is because all props to those who did it. Albert Kim put a lot of work into working on this camera, and I'm in a total and 100% agreement at where he's ended up here. Having worked in industries that were centered around digital imagery for 20-odd something years since 1990, it is always easier to take things away than to put things back. So if you're going to use this on YouTube and other things like that, keep that in mind. You might suffer through your FPV view, but you're going to be much happier in the end when you can work on it in post and have something to work with. So we also want to go in here, I do, and go ahead and set up the system info to make sure that we're on the latest version, which is 1.1, but again, can't really get the update right now, it doesn't seem to be on the site. Auto boot just means the power is going to come on instead of pushing the button when you start it up. You can also go into setting the TV ratios from 4:3 to wide. As I told you, the resolution is 1080 at 60. It's also 1080 at 30, and it's also 720 at 60. You can also turn auto recording on, which is what I did. So as soon as it powers up, you're going to start filming. Also, I keep wide dynamic on, and you can turn it off if you so choose. Next, we're going to take a look at the OSD. Now, if you start clicking right, this is what's going to happen. You're going to start going. So you go left. You'll see here quite quickly I was going right and clicking the button, and it's just giving myself a very funky pilot name. So what I found in the end was just start off going left right from the beginning so you can get down, because you do not want really any of this on if you're going to use the OSD from the light controller. So I just went ahead and shut off voltage, shut off time, and save and exit. Remember to save and exit in every one of these things that you get involved with. So you can also set the TV system from NTSC to PAL. You can also format your card, look at your card's info, change the language if you're in a different language than English. You can also change the TV ratio, as I mentioned, from 16:9 to 4:3. So you definitely want to get in here and just kind of monkey around and take a look at everything you got. You got that factory reset button if you screw anything up. So here's the completed build. This is the UR-UAV POB 150. It is, to me, a very nice frame. It's similar to many other designs you've seen, but not exact. Built for acro, and I built it, as I mentioned, with the stack in the front and all my antenna and receiving in the back. All the TPU parts you see, I made myself. Besides that cover that you're going to see here, I'll show you how it works, that you can bend down and actually keeps your card from ejecting out of the system, and you just bend it down like this and get your card in and out. But I made the wire savers, I made the SMA holder that also has built-in rabbit ears, built those custom landing pads with some prawn claws. So all that stuff I built. And once again, if you need any parts made, even if it's not my designs, check out pandemicfpv.com. Custom quote section there, or any of the parts I designed myself, I can print for you. Now, there will be a part 2 video to this where I discuss more of the settings and we actually get some flight footage, but it has been raining every day for 4 weeks and we just simply couldn't wait any longer. So this first bit of footage is raw with the settings I have, and this is actually before I change exposure to -3. But that's the raw. You can see it's muddy, but right here we're going to click into some post work where we're sharpening it up, and as you can see the quality changed and we're a little sharper. And as you can see here, besides my walking, it's not jello, it's just me walking and shaking like a leaf. HD, high quality, looks beautiful. I think once we can actually get this bird in the air without it raining constantly, it's going to be outstanding footage, and I am just completely stoked for this one. And I hope you guys are too. So as always, thanks for watching the video. Look for the follow-up videos to come, and happy flying. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by and checking out the Quadcopter review. If you want to see more interesting reviews on FPV related stuff, take a look up here in the old right corner right there. You'll find links to all the rest of my reviews. If you want to get in on some of the best giveaways on YouTube, look over here. Don't forget to subscribe right here on my chin. And if you want to check out my flying only videos separated from the review channel, check that out right here. Thanks for coming. Don't forget to subscribe, and happy flying.